We are hearing from a Native American elder and Vietnam War veteran speaking to CNN after a disturbing viral video shows a group of teens harassing and mocking him in the nation's capital. Here's the video sparking outrage on social media right now. Nathan Phillips was beating his drum and singing an American Indian protest song. And this was on Friday on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial when he saw a clash erupting between a group of teenage students and 4 African American young men preaching about the Bible and oppression.
So I normally try to avoid videos on fleeting political events, hoping my creations might have a bit more of a timeless quality, a relevance into the future. Though the more I consider what happened yesterday with the now infamous MAGA hat kids and the Native American drummer fellow, the more I realize that it's not just a superficial moment in time, but something with deeper meaning, deserving of discussion. Even still, I hadn't planned on creating any content around the incident in particular, thinking that those that had so aggressively rushed to judgment had recognized their mistake, and that I'd see news article retractions or apologies from the blue check marks today. Incredibly, I've seen nothing of the sort. The story remains front-page news across nearly every controlled press outlet, with long comment sections threatening doxing and violence, speaking of these kids as representing all that's wrong with the nation, and their parents as monsters who failed them utterly, etc. If anyone needed a reminder that we now live in the Twilight Zone, let this be it. When I initially saw this footage and began to see hundreds of thousands of blue check marks and their Twitter mobs and dozens of articles citing with complete confidence that these boys had come to a Native American march and surrounded the men to shout insults and threaten violence, I was skeptical but open-minded. Anyone is capable of anything, and far more so when you're a teenager. I asked a few of the most confident, angry voices if I could see the footage to confirm this is what occurred, and every single one of these told me that the brief clip flashed all over the media showed everything we needed to see, and suggested, some subtly and some not so subtly, that if I required more, I was obviously a hateful person myself. To recap, as objectively as possible, there were 2 gatherings taking place: a very large and heavily attended pro-life march, and an Indigenous Peoples March. The latter being an event I've never heard of, but for the sake of this discussion, I'll trust that it's a yearly event, and wasn't just staged next to this event for the purpose of stealing the limelight or creating negative optics. So a group of kids from Covington Catholic High School had just finished their march and were milling about, enjoying themselves, being kids. And though it was reported that they had surrounded and harassed a group of African American men, the footage shows something very different. A brief encounter in which they seemed shocked by the ignorance and blind hatred emanating from the street preachers.
Claim your true history. Claim the Greeks. Claim the Romans. The Greeks was a bunch of homosexuals, just like the Romans. Your president is a homosexual. I got news for you. In God we trust. On the back of your dollar bill, it says, in God we trust, but you give faggots rights.
But then shows them quickly moving on in bemusement. And then, entirely unprovoked, a Native American man with a large drum walks up to them and directly into the crowd, and begins loudly drumming in one boy's face. Showing immense restraint, not reacting violently or with any hateful words, or any words at all for that matter, the teenager stoically stands and observes the drumming, refusing to be cowed by this disrespectful act, but refusing to be goaded into a reaction either. This is the perfect way to handle such a self-righteous aggressor. He's seeking to show the world that he has the moral high ground, and that you are a spiritually stunted human being in comparison to his lofty transcendence. And this is the real central pillar of the story. We've all fallen into a narrative in which white people are not only cruel, evil, oppressive, and meant to grovel and apologize to all other peoples according to the victimhood totem pole, but we're also meant to recognize that we have no depth, no culture, no spirit, and that this powerful and stunning and brave Native American man has these things in spades, to the degree that these children should have immediately known their place and fallen to kiss his feet, and perhaps consider themselves lucky to do so. The fact that they didn't was a crime in itself to most of these onlookers, and furthermore hinted at horrible parenting. After all, it's the epitome of proper parenting nowadays to drum shame and guilt into your child's heads, to the point of paralysis on issues involving race or culture, and ensure that they know what a truly monstrous lineage they spring from. I wish this were wild exaggeration and hyperbole, I really do, but we all know it's not. This is now the world we live in. The fires of racial hatred have been stoked by a malevolent merchant-class press to such a fervor that any individual of an Indo-European background anywhere in the world is expected to recognize his subservient position to anyone belonging to a, quote, minority group, end quote. And I'd like to add this. Another reason I rarely make videos like this is that I don't seek to stoke the fires of hate myself on either side. It's infinitely preferable that we embrace our magnanimous nature. And even as we begin to take steps that need to be taken and begin to speak with real honesty about topics that need to be discussed honestly, that we do so justly and nobly in accordance with our nature. Though the events surrounding the Native American expulsion from their land have been wildly exaggerated and mischaracterized, we're not wholly blameless on this front, and there were injustices. And I'm not thrilled that we took a people living fairly happily and harmoniously and have since allowed the region to morph into a materialistic Molochian fever dream, as much for our own sake as theirs. But at the same time, I feel compelled to stand up on issues like these from time to time, because the controlled press has created an unthinking army of hopelessly lost and indoctrinated individuals running on autopilot, saying and doing whatever things will earn them social capital in an immediate sense, almost wholly incapable of thinking independently or pulling back to see the broader picture.
Newly elected Congresswoman Deb Haaland is among the first Native Americans elected to Congress, and she reacted on Twitter, writing, "This veteran put his life on the line for our country. The students' display of blatant hate, disrespect, and intolerance is a signal of how common decency has decayed under this administration. Heartbreaking."
I think this incident illustrates this point with clarity and hits home the need to quickly wake up those that can still be reached, because the press isn't letting up. They have the pedal to the floor, and they won't stop spewing such malevolent propaganda on their own volition, ever. Up until now, it hasn't been countered by many, and this needs to stop. We all need to begin countering it, but taking pains to do so while avoiding stooping to their level, not only because it's ignoble and petty and beneath our dignity, but because it's less efficient, less fruitful. These are not well-intentioned people, and while they program the world to accuse us of hate, all with open eyes know where the true burning hatred exists. Perhaps in a few years, in healthier times, the simple action of this teenager will be hailed as heroic, perhaps even some small turning point. But for now, let it be a reminder to all to avoid stooping to the level of those seeking to destroy you. We are different, and let's continue to act like it.
What is happening?